What's up and good morning, guys? Welcome back to another video. I am so over this weather. It's ridiculous. Every time I think we got a break in the rain, well, it starts raining again, and it's not just raining, it's cold. I've had the crew cab OBS parked up underneath the roof overnight because I have all of my siding material in here, as well as the front door for the hunting blind, and I've been trying to keep them out of the rain, but every time I've walked out this morning to start working, because there's like a little bit of sunshine, it starts raining again. Now, I'm very thankful I have my work for it hoodie here to keep me warm, and if you guys have not purchased one of these are by far like the softest hoodies we have ever put out. I mean, it literally feels like you're like in a cloud of kittens. That's how soft it is. And if you guys have bought one, leave a comment down below because I'm sure you guys can attest to how soft these things are. They are awesome. So aside from that fact that I get to wear this awesome hoodie, I do wish it was warm out. We do got some snacks though in the old Carhartt overalls here. So we're just gonna risk it for the biscuit, and we're gonna go up there, we're gonna take the door, or at least try to get the door on today. Maybe we can start doing some siding, I don't really know. The weather's gonna dictate what happens from here on out. Now, my goal with the hunting blind was to not make it look like just a shed on stilts, right? Like, we want it to look nicer. You see it from my house, you see it when you drive up my driveway. This has to look nice. But then I started looking at the pricing of like some of the siding ideas that I had, and it was just like, we've gone too far, guys. I mean, I've already gone too far spending too much money on that thing, but it's time we reel it back in a little bit and we get this thing just finished. So we've got the standard shed siding here. This is the LP Smart Side from Home Depot. You can get it in like lap siding, which is just actual pieces like this, and then you basically put them over top of each other and they'll have a little kick at the bottom because they sit on top of each other. Or you get them in 4x8 sheets like this, which is pretty much what they use on every shed that you've ever seen. Typically on sheds though, they run it vertically, right? These going up and down. We're gonna change that. We're gonna run it horizontally, and hopefully that makes it look a little more shiplappy and not quite as sheddy. And then for a door, again, now I'm pinching pennies on this thing. We ended up with just a door with a half window in it. I was gonna go the full glass like we did on the guest house back there, but that was almost a $500 door versus this bad boy right here that thanks to our good friends over at Home Depot, I was able to get for a pretty good deal because she's got a little like ding on the front of it. Thank you to you at Home Depot for getting me that discount on this thing. Now, I do see a flaw in my plan today though, putting that door in, because I've got my temporary scaffolding screwed across the doorway there, and the door is gonna stick out probably a little bit proud of that, depending on how we're gonna do our siding and our trim, which is underneath here. I've gone ahead and got two different sizes of trim. We've got some 6-inch, and then we've got some 4-inch, which is down below somewhere in here. Now I'm trying to do this the simplest that I can, but obviously make it look the best that we can, right? That's everybody's goal, I guess, in life. So trying to plan this to be simple. I've got, the reason I got this 6-inch trim is, kind of don't really want to stand on this scaffolding plank now that she's all soaking wet. This one's seen a lot of use over its years. And of course it gets windy right when we come outside. All right, scaffolding plank, hold up. So my plan with this trim was, instead of trying to like trim out these windows two different ways, we're gonna run that in the center there. However, that gap's just a hair big there. Well, that didn't exactly go to plan there. The other thing is, let's see how we're looking over here. I think we're gonna end up kind of being in the same boat there. All right, it's not the end of the world. I think I'm just gonna start siding. Like, I'm just gonna go for it, because at this point we're chasing another storm coming, and I just want to get this done. I will say, inside of here, I mean, we have been through a few rainstorms. We've been through ice, snow, and everything is just freaking dry as a bone. I've searched everywhere in here, cannot find any water intrusion anywhere. We'll say I am already missing Dedic. None of this stuff is fun to move by yourself. All right. Not the most conventional way to carry this, but we got it. So we're just going upstairs. All right. Now, being that all of this is gonna get trimmed out, especially around the windows, it really offers you a lot of leeway, which is why most shed manufacturers do this. Oh, get in there. All right, now we gotta not break this one and get it up there for a little test fit. Now you can see from the back here, it's basically an OSB with a primed front on here, which is why you don't really want this stuff laying out in the rain. And I've almost blown off this deck like twice already carrying full sheets up here. I've already gone ahead and put one on. Again, I'm gonna test everything on this side because I can actually walk here before we go do that hard side over there. But let's see how this cut turned out. Come on, booger. That's there. What are we hitting on? Actually looking pretty dang good right there. All right, we'll take that, we'll take that. We will once again be using the Harbor Freight roofing nailer. Now, I've never done siding like this. I've done hardy siding before, which is like a cement board siding. Out here, everything's stucco. To me, it's superior than any type of siding that can fail. Stucco's gonna last forever. And I know hardy siding, I guess it's a cement board, so it'll probably last forever too. All right, sweet. Now these are galvanized nails, so it should be good. Okay, well, we've got all of our sheets up on this side. I would love to just not trim this out. To me, it looks cleaner without having a trim piece all the way around the edge. And I think most of the cuts are tight enough. Obviously, you want to leave a little bit of room for expansion, but we could totally caulk that and paint it and you would never see it. However, then you have a lot more exposed nail heads than I would like. It is getting cold fast out here, but we're cranking away. And now I'm working on figuring out the trim on the windows. It's gonna get a little bit hokey because my 5.5 inch, well, my 1x6, that's actually 5.5 inch, doesn't quite work in between the windows there. So I'm having to put two of these together and rip one down a little bit. The good thing about this stuff is you paint it. I'm gonna caulk that seam and paint it and hope for the best. But I think it'll be all right. I tried to find this in 1x8s. I couldn't find it locally anywhere in 1x8s. And again, I'm not really gonna wait to order it. So we're just gonna rip this little bit down. We'll get our last piece on right there. And then we can pull our scaffolding down and start figuring out our sides. Again, it is getting very, very cold really fast. So might just get that door on and call it a day. Now, when setting up a table saw, you guys probably know, table saws have measurements right there. You can see on your fence that tells you, you know, where you're going. We don't ever use these. Not saying they're not accurate, but if your blade's got any kind of something weird going on in it, like you're relying on two things that don't talk to each other. So what we always do is we come in and we measure off the fence with a tape measure. So right now we're going 2 3/4 shy, which again is a 1/16 less than 2 3/4. And then if you look closely, hopefully you guys can see that. If you see the edge of the tooth there is wider than the rest of the blade. So you always want to make sure you measure to the edge of a tooth. So we're gonna go 2 3/4 shy, lock her down, and now we rip our piece here. And then depending on the size of the piece, anything smaller than that, I would for sure use a little push stick. That one, as long as you ride your hands along the fence, it's definitely not recommended in any manual anywhere. And I also don't have the guard on there, but those just get in the way. Just don't do what I just did right there. I will say I'm gonna be happy when I can stop walking on this platform. Every time I get up here, it feels sketchier and sketchier, but you guys can see right here, I joined the two pieces together. Again, it's a little bit hokey, but it keeps us going right now, because again, we can't really do the other two sidewalls until we get this part taken down. Get a little bit of glue on here. Technically, we're supposed to finish these ends, but it is what it is. On a perfect summer day, I'd probably take the time to do it. For right now, not gonna happen. I will say, this is my least favorite nailer from Milwaukee. This is the first gen, and it just struggles, no matter the material, to consistently sink the nails. Alrighty, we are gonna call that good. Let's see if we can get this over here. Oh, she is heavy and saturated. All right, we good? Scaffolding gonna hold up? We gotta be quick. All right. Not exactly like I planned it, but that works. So before I go inside to start putting the door in place, I'm doing what me and Dave called eliminating an access. So if I just go to slam this door in like a wide open opening, I'm fighting plumb this way, fighting plumb this way, like you're fighting a bunch of different things. Well, one of the things we know is a constant, assuming the framing is right, is the depth that we want the door to stick out past the framing, right? So what I'm thinking, maybe this isn't how it should be done, but I want my door jamb to flush out with the siding. And then from there, when we go to put our trim piece on, it'll be flush on top of here, and it'll flush out with the door jamb, versus bringing this all the way out over to the door jamb, and then you basically have this big massive thickness of seeing the edge grain here as well as the side of the trim. So I patted it out to where I want it to stop. I'm using this 2x4, and I'm basically just gonna slap the exterior of the door, well, the exterior is the other side, up against that. Now I don't have to fight this axis anymore. That's locked in. From there, we work on getting our hinge side plumb and all that. So, and for that, I use my laser. Hopefully I got enough room in here to do this. Yeah, we might be able to make this work. Lasers just make it very easy for trying to hold a level. Get the setter in place first. We're taking all the screw boxes with us. Come on, booger. Come on, booger. There we go. All right. Slide. There we go. Little kickaroony, little kickaroony. Let's see what we got going on here. Put our plumb line on the edge there. It's gonna be hard in something on stilts for this to actually work, but looks like we need to shift over that away. So we're gonna shimmer out. Alright, we're looking pretty close there. Alright, we are looking pretty freaking solid all the way around here. And you guys that can do this by pulling the door off, give you kudos, man. I'm not much of a door installer. Now, for those of you that have never done exterior doors, you'll notice that in the hinges they leave one screw out, right? These are all short screws. They're probably like 3/4 of an inch long, but then they include these matching ones that are much longer, and these are actually to screw into your framing. And then we still like to come in and like behind the weather stripping. Obviously on this side, we'll come in behind the weather stripping. We'll put a couple more screws in, that way they are hidden. And obviously if you guys are ever doing hardware at your house, you go to set your deadbolt and all that, they come with really short screws. Throw those away. You want some long ones to actually lock that deadbolt into the framing, otherwise, you know, you want it to take at least 2 kicks for the burglar to get in, not, you know, do it in 1. Now we are running out of daylight, but let's check our reveals there. It's gonna be kind of hard to show on camera, but we are looking pretty solid. I think we're gonna have to call it for the night though. Let me show you guys real quick just how we kind of hide those screws back there behind that weather stripping. You never know they're there. And this frame is solid and not going anywhere. Let's go do a little look from the ground here. I know it looks a little hokey with my little bracing on the front there, but let's get one last look at her before the sun goes down and before we get another day or two of rain, because that's what's showing up tomorrow and we're gonna be holding off for a minute. So looking good, I'm digging it. I don't think it looks too much like a shed now that we went horizontal instead of vertical with the siding there. However, all that trim work is gonna make it look a little bit sheddy, but hey, you know, is what it is. Now that we're budgeting, we can't spend $1 million on getting some really cool looking siding. But now I gotta clean up because that's about to start raining and I don't want all my tools to get wet. See you guys whenever it stops raining. Oh, happy days, sunshine again. I'm so over this bipolar weather. This has been the wildest weather year I can remember. I'm born and raised in Southern California, and this weather has just been crazy this year. I'll cut to a little clip that our tenants filmed yesterday of the weather, and mind you, they're from Michigan. They're from real weather. They didn't move out here for this kind of weather.
Woo! I don't know, that looks like snow to me. You can see little hail balls, but woo, look at that.
Let's go check out and see how we held up to this round of storm. Now that we have our door on, we don't have the paper all the way across the front, so obviously we still have our little gaps here that we need to seal up, but let's see how she handled. I mean, for the amount of rain and mostly the wind. Again, the wind is what drives stuff up under eaves and will find any gap that normally water won't find its way into. But dude, this place is just dry as a bone. Now again, my plan is to heat this place, but being inside right now, and it's obviously daytime, but it is warm in here, especially compared to outside. It's kind of cold outside. At least by my standards. I mean, that's no insulation or anything. I think I have enough leftover insulation in the guest house garage to insulate this thing. If not, it'll literally be like one roll more I have to purchase. So I'll probably end up insulating this thing. And then we got to figure out wall treatment. I've got a decent amount of shiplap left over. Might be enough to shiplap up this wall. And then got tons of drywall. But we're not there yet. We got to finish this outside. Get this completely done because I'm overworking outside and it'd be much nicer to work in a nice warm inside there. Okay, so I'm gonna cut these shims flush and then cut our couple of sheets down there, the LP Smart side. I'm gonna start with the sunny side here because, well, it's warm. We'll get our measurement of what we need. And yes, because I know somebody's gonna say it, we did not tape the building paper seam, nor did I put a drip edge down there. Let's see if we can cut this one just floating off the back of the truck here. Good news is we have a lot less wind today though, so at least we're not gonna get blown off carrying this up here. All right, because we're doing smarter, not harder, I'm also gonna screw a board on the bottom of this to hold it at the elevation I want. Get us somewhat level here on this board. Now we set this booger in place. Okay, so we've got it where I want it. We've got it to where these joints line up visually. This side's gonna be a different story because I kind of raised it up to get a full board on the bottom, but is what it is. This is the most important side. This is the side you see when you drive up. So let's just keep a little 1/8 inch gap there. And then what I like to do is I mark where I'm at on my window here, right? So we got a little mark there, a little mark there, probably a little excessive, but that'll wipe off. And then I plumb down because we know this piece is level. We've already checked it. I made sure I shimmed it to where it is level. And I guess you could square down if you wanted to, being that the piece is level. Square would also work. I don't really know how far we need to go yet, so we're just gonna go beyond what we think. And from here, we're gonna measure. Now you'll notice on the window, the way they form this, there's a little extra piece that comes down here. Obviously we wanna account for that. So we're gonna put our tape measure on there. We're gonna measure up to our line. So you can see we are 7.5, barely fat. We'll call it a full fat there. So those 16th bigger than 7.5. We're gonna add 1/8 which is 7 5/8 fat. So from here, we're going to measure down 7 5/8 fat, which is right there. Take our 4-foot level. We will connect these lines. Where are we at? There we go. Now from here, because our blade depth is set pretty shallow, we're gonna cut this one and then we'll just hold it off, cut that, hold it off, cut that. And then we don't have to pull this thing down. All right, for this one, let's use, oh no. Oh good, we didn't drop the shim. Are we allowed to say shim anymore? Not sure, not sure. That'll be our little standoff. We don't want to put pressure on this piece because that's the piece that we're gonna be cutting off. If you put pressure on that, it's gonna bind up. Then we just take our Sawzall and we finish our cuts. You can use a jigsaw, you can use whatever. Honestly, you could probably overcut this if you wanted to because it's getting hidden by trim, but just more exposed edge that you don't want. There we go. To our trash pile. Let's see how we did. Set us back on our shims there. Now this next piece gets cut entirely on the ground. So we're gonna draw us a little schematic here. See how small we can draw it here. So we're gonna be like this. We're gonna have that pitch in there. Come down, there's gonna be a little side piece. Window, level, window, done. We already know from there to there, 67.5 fat. So now we need this next measurement here. And again, this is, should definitely be doing this on something bigger, but whatever. This works for now. Actually here, let's get this side first since we're already here. We're gonna call that 19 1/8. From there to there. And we're just gonna do this because we ran out of room. 19 1/8. Going all the way up here. Work with me, tape measure, work with me. There we go. Oh, get up there, get up there. All right, this piece overlaps. It basically overlaps to the top of where you can see this little mold that they put in there. It sits right on top of that. So that's where we wanna make sure we measure to. And then we're gonna subtract a little bit for the top up there. So from there to there, 47. Then we do the same thing over here. Go to the top of that window to our mark right there. We are 28 3/4 fat. Let's take out 1/8. We are 28 5/8 fat. We're actually gonna call that 28 5/8 just to leave us a little bit of room. 28 5/8, 36 1/8. So we'll go 36 there. Pull these measurements separately, right? From that side, that ain't the way to do this to get it accurate. I don't know why my brain's not working. The best way to do this is to pull off of one side and stay consistent, right? So we are 19 1/4 there. Then from here, we are 49 1/8. That way we know we are consistent. This thing will fit. This is a much better way to be consistent than pulling from that way, and that way accurately puts this in the right spot. So we're gonna go to there because we already know this measurement. 49 1/8. That's real fun to read. Now we made sure our piece is in the proper orientation because again, it's got a lap seam there, right? So this bottom piece goes over top of that piece, which we have it in this orientation up there. So we are good here. And then again, we're pulling everything from this side that way. We'll take our schematic and we're going to go 19 1/8. And then we'll come up here. I don't know exactly how far. 19 1/8. And then in line with that, we are 28 5/8. Do our marks there. Ooh, we're pretty close, 28 5/8. Connect these lines. Go. All right. Then our next one, and again, now that we're pulling from this side all the way through, we are 49 1/8. So we'll come over 49 1/8 right there. Come up at about the same height. We'll go 49 1/8. And then same thing, 28 5/8. 28 5/8. Connect these lines. All right. Connect our top lines. Now we need this rate cut. Again, it's going to be the high side to the low side. So we've got 47 inches from there. Ooh, all right, good. And then we want to be at the very peak because that's where we measured that from. And then on this side, 36. Off of there, hit our 36 mark there. All right. We use our 8-foot level here. It's been a little neglected in the rain. It's a little dusty. We'll connect these two lines. There we are. There to there. You could chalk line these if you wanted to, but I'm a bigger fan of it doing it this way. Now pieces like this make me nervous because all it takes is one calculation to be off or your brain not be as alert as it should be right now, and you got to recut the whole thing. So here's our fingers crossed that things are going to keep working out for us. All right, here goes nothing. Woo, she's tight, she's tight. She's tight like we like it. Look at that. That's looking pretty solid there. Oh, that could have been bad. That could have been bad. Alrighty guys, well, I've gotten as far as I can get today. We've got the whole front here done. Again, I need more of that 4-inch trim. This stuff right here, we're gonna go swap out all of the 6-inch. I got a bunch of stuff I gotta do while we are in town, so we will continue this in the morning. Well, today was going good, but I was being real slick, and you know, we've been rocking out on getting all the trim done. Everything's looking great up there. It's like, oh, let me move the saw to the scaffolding because I'm going to be working on this side now. And I don't know how the saw slid back far enough. I think it actually might have been the weight of the slider, but my very expensive Milwaukee cordless miter saw just fell off the scaffolding. Oh, this one hurts. That's not a cheap toy to toss off the scaffolding like that. And that's pretty high up. She was up there. That's probably 12 feet. Thankfully, the ground's a little soft. You can see she dug in. I haven't really looked at her, but definitely was not set on a flop there. That got mushed over. Oh, geez. Oh, you poor saw. There's no way this thing's even going to be, I don't know. We're going to have to test it, but I don't know if this thing's going to be true anymore. Like, am I going to be able to trust this thing? Let's set the flop back on 0 here. She is beyond 0. Oh no, oh, she does, the detents feel broken. All right, does it work? Still works. Why is this locked though? Let's see, the lock? No. Well, the slider doesn't want to slide right now. That was a very, very dumb move. Very dumb move. And a very expensive move. This, as if this hunting blind has not cost me enough money. Might have just cost me a miter saw here. All right, so they don't really like to move. They're kind of moving in there, but they're super stiff. I've got no clue why the slider is so stiff. Like, nothing looks bent. Obviously, it's really hard to tell, but I mean, it takes all that I have to get it to even move a little bit. I mean, I'm yanking the crap out of this thing, so I don't know what's going on. And then sometimes it'll move a little bit. Almost looks like it might be bent this way a little bit. We know we jacked up some stuff on the flop there. What if we kink it a little bit and try to go in with it? She moves, but she is crunchy. I wonder if just dirt got in there? No, because then she gets really... Well, it's a good thing we're only cutting 1x material today, because yeah, if we had to slide and cut anything bigger, we're in trouble. I can't figure out what's wrong with it. I guess this one will actually be going into Milwaukee to get a repair. I feel like spending another $500 something on a saw. Let's go see if she's even cutting remotely square anymore. And we're gonna leave it on the bigger portion of the deck here. We're not going back up on the scaffolding. I'm gonna mark a little test piece here. Sit on the back side so I can get a straighter line. Let's go mark square. And then, oh man, she's in rough shape. Let's see if we're still cutting square. She's looking pretty close. I'd say that's within a degree or so there. Gonna be good enough for what we're doing today. Not so much for precision work. And speaking of precision work, if you want to be really trick, you guys can see if we look at the siding on this side, or the trim I should say, you know, you got 3.5 give or take of material there, and then over here you've got closer to 4 and a whatever that is. I don't know, it's not quite 3/4, but if you really wanted to be trick, you can rip this measurement off of here, or you could miter the corners, but we all know miters don't really stay together that well. But nobody wants to sit here and rip a bevel all the way down on the edge of this thing. Plus, when you're doing stuff outside, I know like when you're doing door casings and stuff in your house, it's nice to put little miters on the corner there, but for this type of stuff, I feel like it's gonna hold up longer if we just do butt cuts instead of mitering those corners. But you'll notice I pre-assembled this piece off here first, just in case there's a little bit out of square, something weird is happening here. You don't shoot this on and then this piece doesn't mate up perfectly. So we mate these two pieces up perfectly, and then we slap this entire corner on and make adjustments accordingly. But we know this corner is gonna stay together. I used glue on the inside there and then shot it in with some finish nails. Now I've also made a little template here that I'm basically putting on there. It's giving me a mark. It's helping me kind of gauge everything and figure out my cuts. So now I'm gonna pull a couple more measurements, use my not so trued up saw, and get this finished for the day. So I've got my piece glued up here. We'll put this booger on top. Okay guys, well, aside from our mishap with the saw today, which is also the reason I don't like working up above people, not good. I would not be a good lineman. I would be dropping everything, but she is looking good. Trim is all done. I think I am gonna add just a little piece of trim from that corner to there. Nothing there. My original plan was I was gonna TNG the soffits up underneath here. Don't know if I'm necessarily gonna do that just because it is such a pain in the butt to get up there. It's not gonna be fun to paint this thing either, but we'll see how that goes. However, we are officially calling this pretty much done on the outside of the building itself. Next up, I gotta go get some 4x4s. I'm gonna put in probably not all the railing because I don't want the 4x that's against the building. I wanna put that in after we paint because it's gonna make it a pain to paint behind it. I'm gonna sit here, cry about my saw, and jump back on in the morning.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah.